Somebody call a doctor because bad medicine is back. Over there is Diamond Dave Damone. This is the Appleton Oak. That's the answer. I'm Mason Quinn. Folks, today we are checking out the finale of Adolescence. This is episode 4. It has been an absolutely wild ride. Thank you to all of you out there who recommended this to us. It has been incredible. I can't wait to see how things wrap up.
Yeah, this has been a very, very good watch. All the acting, the one-shots, everything has just been phenomenal, and I'm definitely ready, willing, and able to put a bow on it, so to speak.
Yeah, the last episode was incredibly powerful. Not that the previous two weren't, but last episode was incredible. I mean, a very, very powerful storyline, but the acting, the one-shot, absolutely incredible from a production standpoint. I'm very curious to see how they wrap up a short 4-part series, but I'm definitely interested.
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing how they're going to wrap the story up. All 3 episodes that we've seen so far, absolutely powerful in their own right. Let's see how we end this.
Let's go!
Oh, God, just imagine the dad, just little stuff like seeing your kid's bike.
Yeah, he did.
The one just hearing the kids, too, in the background.
Oh, yeah,
that sound
playing.
design.
And he has to hear like all the neighborhood kids all having fun and playing outside while...
Bertie, I don't mind giving you the full English once a year. Happy birthday, old man.
When you're getting younger, are you?
I am, you cheeky get.
Black pudding?
From the butchers and all. Yeah, only when I'm doing you a fry-up.
No.
Oi.
Christmas as well, when you got your Sylvies on in there.
You leave my suspenders out of this, you'll get yourself excited. Maybe later.
Oh, come on, love, only be 5 minutes.
You're never 5 minutes. Come on, be good. Be good. Concentrate on cards, Bertie cards.
You're a spoiled sport. Written by Gene. Fiver.
Oh, jeez.
I think we know where that's from.
It's a lovely picture. It's made you look handsome. Just put the effort in.
Damn, that has to be tough.
Yeah, say now it's all coming back. You know, they maybe forgot about it for a couple hours a day.
Dad, have you seen the van?
Hey?
The van outside, have you seen the van?
No.
Kids' height marks on the wall. Did you guys see that?
I'm sorry. Oh, they're such dickheads.
Hey, language.
I don't know what that means.
Right, go and phone the police.
I'm assuming it's not good.
Yeah, if they spray painted on the van,
Did you see anything, mate? No? Right, bit of soap and water will get this off.
Eddie, when was the last time you seen the van, love?
When I parked up last night.
Well, what time was that?
I don't know, what, must have been about 8 o'clock, I think.
8 o'clock?
Yeah, about 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock till now. Hang on. N-O-N-S-E. Well, I don't know. Is that for me to decide? Maybe they think Jamie's an alt, maybe they think Eddie's one. Do we take a picture? No, sorry, love, I'm not waiting. I'll take 3 pictures for you, OK? And I'll get my daughter to email them over to you, OK? Thank you, love, thank you. Take 3 pictures and email them to Sam.
Calm down.
It's your Bertie.
Think about Lisa.
So let me know what I should be doing.
Look, I'm not telling you what you should be doing. I'm just saying, let's think of her, shall we?
Eddie, I've had enough of this.
Please, love, don't start. Don't say anything.
What am I saying?
Look, you know what you're saying, and it's not happening. We're not having this conversation. Not again, love.
He's in the dock in 4 weeks, then everyone will be having a stay.
Yeah, but not at us, right? He's behind a big screen, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm not doing a great job of hiding him.
Love, they're protecting him. We've been through all this with the lawyers.
Yeah, that can't be easy, having a kid that's...
No, this is tough.
That's, you know...
My mum says she can get you work.
I don't need your mum to get me work. Love, I've got lads that depend on me.
No, I know that, but...
Love, she's got college, hasn't she? Right? Do you want to take her out of college? Do you want to ruin her fucking life as well? Look, and you think moving back to Liverpool will be any better? Because I promise you now, it'll be 10 times fucking worse, and you know that. You know it'll be worse. We've done nothing wrong, have we? We're not moving, man. End of story. Shit. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. I'll clean it up.
Just stressed to the max. The both of them.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be listening. Don't worry, I'll clean this off.
And then she's got to deal with it, you know, with everybody she knows.
Yeah, it's just a ripple effect. All 3 of these folks are Probably just their stress levels are above normal at all times, too.
Who you texting?
Billy,
All right, now is that?
it's none of your business. Is that all right?
Just giving him space, because that's what I do.
I don't think Sophomor's going to do anything to it. You're fuming, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I found myself in his room the other day. Didn't know what to do, really.
I can't go in.
Billy looking after you.
No. Billy doesn't look after me. Can you stop saying that? I can look after myself, right?
Lance, where's that big sponge?
It's under the sink. All right, I'll be down now. Better go and help your dad. I love you.
I love you too.
I'm glad they kind of gave us a little bit of insight that at least they're she's at least communicating with her daughter.
Yeah, because
they tried to get information about potential boyfriend there.
Because you got to figure it's got to be rough for her. It's
well, yeah,
still
social
going to
media
school
on her.
going to school, and
That's not going to work, my
It's
friend.
oil-based, probably.
Want a chair, love? No. Is it your chair, rest your legs? No? Fuck off then, you know the alcohol.
Wow.
Hey! 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 Did you see that to my van? Excuse me, love. Watch out. Watch out. Sorry.
Do you want to face some bleed?
I won't wait here. We'll have to go to Wainwright.
Now?
Yeah, now we'll have to go to Wainwright now. Can't say enough for work with that on me fucking van, can I? So come on, let's go now. Won't be long. Be close. We're going to Wainwright.
Yeah, he doesn't want to leave anybody at home.
Someone's just vandalised the van. Who knows what they'll do next? Not leaving you here on your own. Girls, please, girls, do me a favour. Please, help me out, love. I'm trying.
All right, yeah, we'll all go. Get the tea back.
Okay, yeah. Let's get the tea back.
Go and Wainwright some big birthday treat then.
Yeah? Lock that door properly, love.
I have.
Keep your eye on our house, Eileen, would you, love?
Toss a little up.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll keep
Make sure you text neighbourhood watch as well.
Tea.
Interesting comments towards the neighbor. I think we've all
had
at least
Had the nosy neighbor.
one neighbor that we're not fans of.
Please put some music on, love. Make sure you pick a good tune with a bass line. None of this plinky plonk shite or your drum and bass bollocks.
You talk such rubbish.
If not,
Jeez.
When we get back from Wainwright, we're going on an outing. Family outing.
And what will you do on your family outing?
Climb a hill or something.
A hill?
Yeah. All right, well, we'll go ice skating then.
You ice skating?
Yeah, what's wrong with me, ice skating? All right, we'll go to pitches.
Yeah, I'd do that.
Pitches?
Yeah.
All right, sweet. All right, have a look on the internet, see what's on.
What's got into you?
I'm just interested in solving
Solving
the problem of today.
And I'm helping.
Thank you.
if not for the situation, this dialogue would be so different.
What are we solving?
Just think it'd be a good idea for us to go to pitches, that's all. She's a fine woman, your mother.
So you tell me.
Hey.
So that's it then, sorted. We've got our day back, kids.
Can we go for a Chinese?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah, what do you want?
I want all of it.
That sounds like you.
I don't know. I don't really know what's got bass.
Put on, like, aha, take on me.
What, that hasn't got a baseline? It has. Oh, it hasn't.
Her excitement. It's good to see them smile a little bit, considering the 3 episodes we
Paul?
just went through.
Song is everywhere these days.
When me and your dad were just going out, it was at one of our first school discos. Your dad, right? He wore this Daft Pink wig and everyone was laughing at him, but your dad never cares when people laughed at him.
Hey, I love that wig.
And it was the middle of the night, so like no one was dancing yet. And we were what? About 13?
Yeah, we're in third year.
That's year 9 in your language. And the DJ was Mr. Barnes, our geography teacher. And aha was top of the chart at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And your dad's right, this was bonkers. He just starts dancing on his own in the middle of the dance floor.
No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that at all. Right, no. Barnesy was a great teacher, right, but he was a crap DJ.
And everyone was just standing there laughing their heads off at your dad.
Nobody weren't laughing. No one was laughing, love. I was a brilliant dancer. No one was.
He starts slipping and sliding all over the floor.
Right, look, no, tell the truth. I bought these pair of red and white bowling shoes, right, from a charity shop to go with me wig.
Ew.
Right? But I had no idea that these shoes, they had no grip.
Splits his legs and landed flat on his face. And he'd smacked his nose. And there was just blood hammering down his face and everyone was just pissing themselves. And then he said, I'm bleeding here.
I'm glad you found it, you know.
I left them all, and then you walked me home. Well, I walked and you slid, and your nan and granddad were waiting up for me. And my dad said to you, if you'd been in a fight and you went something like that, Dad's hard, something like that.
Wonder how that would have played out in 2025.
First time she ever gave me a Frenchie.
Dad!
I'll never forget it. Full tongue and everything. Love, you swallowed me tonsils.
Maybe it did. But you are really good at holding hands.
That drive,
Hey, mate,
that was
love that you're a
interesting.
child born of love.
Dad's.
It was nice that they gave us a good moment
Yeah,
with
with
them,
the family.
considering the circumstances.
Yeah.
And interesting to see him at 13 versus Jamie at 13.
Well, and his reaction to a story of being embarrassed versus the stories of being embarrassed and being put on social media. In
Jamie and-
2025.
Two different times.
You know,
right?
it's one thing to talk about. It's another thing to be able to see it every day.
Someone's put some spray paint on my van. I was just wondering if you knew how I could get it off.
My colleague, he might be able to sort you out, alright? Yeah, he's good with stuff like that, you know. Fella says he's got some spray paint on his van. Wants to remove it.
Oh, well, dry water and soap.
Yeah, it didn't touch it, mate.
Then use a paint thinner or strong alcohol. Vodka would do. Isopropanol better. Follow me.
Sorry, well, won't the towel thing get it off, no?
Oh, well, we'll probably have a residue. If you want it all off, it's a respray job. A tag. Kids. I blame the parents.
Can you just show me where the blue paint is, please, mate? I just need to get the thing off my van, that's all.
Yeah. I just worked out who you are. You know, I've seen photos of you on Facebook.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
here we go.
So at home, in the store, as expected.
Well, I'm on your side, you know. Your son's side, for what it's worth. Because, you know, he didn't do it, did he? I mean, even the stab wounds, well, where they said there were stab wounds, you know, there's bone in the penetration spots. You know, if you're making stuff up, at least make it anatomically possible. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, no.
Oh, it's like this the last thing he wants to hear.
Yeah.
I've seen the photos of her.
Get me the paint, please, mate.
Sorry, yeah.
I just want...
Yeah, sure. Just, you should get me a good lawyer, that's what I think. You know, if you crowdfund it, there's lots of us that get behind it. Here's your paint.
But that kid was almost like an older version of Jamie, the way he looked a little bit.
Well, you could tell he was incredibly intrigued by the situation that he got to be in that spot with
yeah.
him.
And with what family he has with him, they just had a great moment on the drive.
Yep, and
there.
now he's totally
right
trashed.
away. Boom, just put right back in.
Yeah, now he's blocking everything out.
Next, please. Anything else for you today, sir?
No, sir.
$34.99 altogether, please.
Are you all right?
Receipt?
Yeah, I'm all right. I was just a bit hungry, that's all.
Good.
She knows something's wrong.
Yeah.
Got a lovely plant. Isn't it lovely?
Nice. That's him, isn't it? Is he following me?
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's the two kids on the bikes.
Come here! Get up! Did you do that to my van? What? Did you do that to my van? It was just a what? Well, it's not funny, is it? Don't smile, kid, because I'll slap that fucking smile off your face.
Oh, my God.
Listen to
Oh
me,
my
you little...
God.
Get up! You don't do that to people. Do you understand? You don't know what the fuck I've been going through. Don't laugh at me. Go on, fuck off. Stay away from my family.
Oh, it's
Fredo.
That's Fredo.
Yeah. That was the kid that was mentioned before.
That was intense.
Oh, he's going to do it right here in the parking lot. He's going to throw the paint on the van.
He sure is.
Get in the other side, baby. You gonna clean that up? You want, mate? You gonna clean that up?
Come on, Eddie, get in the car.
You're on camera.
Just get...
Fucking shut up, you dickhead! You shut up and get in the fucking shop.
All the emotions just
Just like a pressure cooker just exploded.
and everything just keeps giving a ripple effect. So now his outburst may have consequences on that. That'll affect potentially these two, maybe.
Yep. I mean, are they going to say he was threatening the security guard because he had a screwdriver in his hand? I mean, who knows?
Well, and then of course the cameras caught him doing that to the kid. And they're giving us this is unique how they're doing it now. The ride there,
Yep.
versus the ride back now.
Yeah, totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was having a good time.
This is a call from Jamie Miller.
Oh. Now? What are the odds?
Dad? Hello, lad.
Just wanted to say happy birthday.
Thanks for calling.
Did you get my card?
I did, yeah. Yeah, did you draw it?
Yeah, I did.
Said to your mum, I thought it was really good. Forgot how much she used to love drawing.
That's why I started again.
Is everything all right?
Yeah, it's all right. I've been getting some bother in the yard, but it's just nothing.
Well, you know what to do, don't you, lad?
Yeah. I've got people to talk to.
Then we're gonna go to pictures later. Our lease wants a Chinese.
Kung Po came from.
Yeah, you know the order, lad.
You had any good presents then?
No, not yet. We haven't some presents yet, Jay.
I know today's not the day for it,
Just tell me, forget it's my birthday. What's going on?
but I thought about it. Dad, I'm gonna change my play. Hello? I'm sorry, but I'm gonna plead guilty.
Yep, there you go.
Hiya, son. We're here as well.
Hiya, Jay.
Has the food got any better, love?
Yeah, it's fine. I thought it was just me and Daddy.
Are you still in the gym all the time?
Only when I'm allowed.
Like, what do you even talk about?
I mean, this whole day for the family.
It's just been a ride of emotions.
I better get off. There's other people waiting. Usual time end of the week, yeah?
Perfect.
Dad?
Yeah?
I'm sorry. And happy birthday.
Thanks.
Oh.
Wow. What a phone call. At first, I was thinking, why didn't he ask about mom and sister? Then Jamie mentioned to mom, usual time of the end of the week.
Yeah. So,
I got to assume maybe there's some meetups.
off screen, there's...
Yeah, they have dedicated time.
Yeah.
What's the paper?
God, I feel so bad for the mom, dad, and sister here.
Talked about it last time, of just how it affects not just the two people involved, but the families of both sides. And I mean, we're reacting to what we're being presented.
Yeah.
But we're seeing how it's supposed to be a good day for him. It's supposed to be 50.
It'll be all right. Come on.
They had just a great day planned with after cleaning off the stuff and going to the pictures and having breakfast and getting Chinese.
Kids, was it?
Fuck off, Eileen.
Family pictures right there.
I feel so bad for her.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were considering moving and, like, probably changing their names and everything to get away from it.
Is that the top that I got, yeah?
Should have done it myself.
Looks so lovely on you, that. You're not bad for 50. Let's leave going the pictures. Okay, we'll just leave it.
That's what I will go. Yeah.
He's just trying to push through.
Compartmentalize a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought he sounded better than last week. Didn't he?
Okay, so they have been all talking to him.
Yeah, that's the way she made it sound.
You remember what Jenny said?
Yeah. I'm not blocking you, honestly, Mum. Not doing that.
You're the one in with him. Never even seen the tape.
Please, let's not do this again.
Let's not do this. Let's not do that again.
Look, I mean me being in there, you not being in there. Please, can we not do that again?
You saw the tape. I didn't.
I mean, I get it. As a mom, it's like you feel like you need to see the evidence.
Threatening kids, wrecking your van. I know you're angry, but him going guilty is probably for the best. And if you were honest, you'd see that as well.
I saw what I saw. I didn't want to believe it. But I saw it.
We've got to survive this.
What if we can't?
He never left his room. Come home, slam the door straight up the stairs on the computer. See the light on at 1 o'clock in the morning. Then knock and it'd say, Jamie, come on, son, you've got school tomorrow. And the lights would turn off, but he never said nothing.
We couldn't do nothing about that. All kids are like that these days, aren't they? You know, you don't know what they're watching in their room, love. Look at that fella that popped up on my phone, going on about how to treat women and how men should be men and all that shit. I was only looking for something for the gym, wasn't I? You can't keep an eye on them all the time, love. We just can't.
He has a terrible temper, but so have you.
I didn't give him that, did I? Or did I give him that?
No, but I do sometimes think we should have stopped it. Seen it and stopped it.
We can't think like that, remember? That's what she said. We can't blame ourselves.
But we made him.
Oh, does she have some major guilt?
When I was his age, my dad used to fucking batter me. And I promised myself, I said, when I had my own kids, I'd never do that. And I didn't, did I? I just wanted to be better. But am I?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Is he any better than his dad that used to beat the shit out of him? Wow.
You tried to be. We both did.
Choke him to footy, didn't I? Because I thought it'd soften him up. But nobody was crap. I just stood there on the side of the pitch while all the other dads were laughing at him.
Oh, we're hearing this side of the story from him.
And I couldn't look at him, man. I couldn't look at my own boy.
Dad lies, you.
And he used to draw downstairs, remember?
Yeah.
Remember he sat at the table, the kitchen table, and he'd draw pictures, and he was good, wasn't he?
Yeah, he loved it.
And he stopped that. And then he wanted the computer, so we got him the computer, we got him the desk and everything, and keyboard, the headset, and all that stuff. And then the business took off, didn't it? So, you know, I'd have to leave at 6 and I wouldn't get back till 8.
I was so merely and I did know better.
You were a good man. You had a good man. But he was in his room, weren't he? You know, we thought he was safe, didn't we? Yeah. Didn't we think he was safe? And what harm can he do in there?
It's a good mum.
He was.
I'm a good mum.
You are.
You're a good dad, a great dad. But we made him.
So if my dad made me, how did I make that?
We didn't know what he was going to do.
Man, there's so many parents must...
Should I have protected him?
You couldn't.
Shouldn't we have done more, though?
The question they'll ask for the rest of their lives.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, at least they have each other, though, to lean on. You know, they're being very supportive of one another.
Sounds like...
Feels like it was yesterday. He just kept saying it over and over. He just kept saying it wasn't me. I believed him. And I saw the tape. I wish it had been you.
You'll never forget that.
No.
No, that's...
Probably replays every day in his head.
You did that.
Yep.
You'd have done better. You'd have done better. Was that new? It's lovely.
Probably just wearing it different because, you know, guys, it's the combinations. I talk about it all the time. Combinations are everything. I just thought, when else do I get to look a bit nice? Is that the top that Mum got you?
Yeah.
You should put something nice on as well.
Oh, you look lovely as you are. Lisa, I'm sorry, love. Them lads and the stuff with the van and all
Dad,
that.
the van looks worse, but can't read the word on it anymore. Was it them lads?
Yeah, do you know them?
Yeah.
Oh, she knows them.
Dickheads, to be honest with you.
I hate language. Look, if they cause you any trouble.
Dad, everyone causes me trouble. Jamie's sister.
Yep.
We can't move. If we move, it'll be better for a bit, but then someone's just going to find out something. That something's going to be everything, and then it'll just be even worse. Jamie's ours, isn't he?
Thought we'd leave go with the pictures.
We can rent a film here.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we could find some popcorn.
That black pudding will be sprouting legs and walking soon.
I'll give you a hand.
You'll come nowhere near Bertie boy.
How did we make your hair, eh?
Same way we made him.
The flood of emotions is probably hitting him the second he opened that door.
Yep. It's so tough to imagine because it's the room of a child, like a young child, and to know what he did is just it's so much. Yeah, it's like he just had to let it all out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the teddy bear's representing Jamie.
Yeah. Yep. One last time.
Yep.
One last tuck in.
I'm sorry, son.
Oh,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I should have done better.
Oh. Blames himself for everything.
You know, there's opportunities for parents at all times, but you just don't know when that opportunity is.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Like I said, Lisa turned out apparently very well, and they did the same thing.
All right.
Another
All right. Wow.
powerful episode.
What an absolute... It's just a masterclass. So many different things in here to get into. You know, the one thing is with the dad's, let's just start with the morning, right? You know, it's going to be the dad's breakfast. And it did seem a little bit off to me just because of everything we've been through with the previous 3 episodes. Their morning was almost normal and weirdly normal, you know, after seeing what we saw. And I don't know if it'll make the cut, but I was like, wow, things seem to be relatively normal given the circumstances. And we saw that course didn't last very long at all. That everything kind of went wrong with the breakfast, the van being vandalized, and you know they kind of led into that as to why that was so important to the dad, because he even mentioned, he's like, hey, I grew up, I didn't have anything, and then the business started taking off. I was working 6 to 8, and he even said, you know, he did everything he could to provide for his family, and I'm not sure somebody can truly understand, you know, what you go through and the commitments that are there when, you know, you have a family depending on you. You've been through poverty to some level, and you've just fought and clawed your way to get out of that, and you never want to go back, and you'll do anything to make sure that you or your family never has to live through that. And that's why, you know, the plumbing business and the van, that's why I think that it meant so much to him. The story of embarrassment that the dad had, I thought was real interesting. You know, he just happened to be 13, the same age that everything has happened with Jamie here. I like how the writers did that to show, look, when you had an embarrassing moment or whatever when you were his age, like, yeah, people saw it and they talked about it and maybe had a laugh about it for a while, but I've always said this, that people react differently to things they see. When something's on the internet, it lives there forever, and people can watch it and watch it and watch it. And I just wonder, how would what happened to him have been different in 2025 if somebody was recording it and it was being sent out to everybody, constantly being played and watched by everybody at school, and they would, you know, have that video essentially forever. Whereas, you know, again, in his case, it would just became a story, you know, almost like maybe like an urban legend or folklore type thing. He's like, I'm bleeding or whatever he was saying. So I really like that they threw that in there to show the difference between the times of how things are now versus how things were, and how something that, you know, if it happened these days would be incredibly embarrassing and would probably be, you know, a viral video maybe even. So again, I like that was put in there. The other thing that I liked is they kind of showed how easily they can, the kids, Jamie in this case, can fall into that kind of trap and go down that rabbit hole that he did to get the attitude that he had. You know, his dad said, hey, I was on the internet looking for, you know, some gym stuff, maybe for some new workouts. And then he found the very same stuff. And this is a completely different take. And so I want to make note of that I'm going to talk to an aside here. I mean, anybody who's had some kind of sickness or whatever, you're not feeling great, or maybe you got an earache or whatever. What do? You go on WebMD and you look it up. Well, you go far, you're on WebMD long enough, it's like the worst possible thing ever. You think you need to go to the emergency room right then and there. And the reason I bring that up is because with Jamie, is say he just went online and he's like, why don't girls like me? Let's say. Well, it's not going to be very long before he's going down that rabbit hole that his dad found very easily just looking up gym exercises. And if he goes down the rabbit hole of looking for something like that, it's not going to take long before he finds the people that are out there to take advantage and make a buck out of people in these situations who are looking for something, anything, any kind of answer, and they're there to sell it to them. And you know, just do what I say and things will work out. Oh, or you're being tricked, or this is how this is playing out. And it's so easy to go down that. And being 13, you know, they can be very impressionable when that stuff can happen. I mean, there's a reason that we've seen a number of, at least one movie, I think, that talked about child soldiers in different parts of the world and how they can become indoctrinated and they will go through and do every bit as violent things as an adult. And it's because they're young and impressionable and they can be swayed and talked into that. So I liked how those three things for me, at least, I mean, amongst other things, don't let me sell it short, but those were three big things that I really liked that were put in there. And then just what I'll end with here real quick is that I like that the family still had each other to lean on and to have support, and the mom and dad were there for one another. You know, nobody really blamed anybody. They kind of came to a conclusion that they did the best they could. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't good enough, or maybe they should have done something different. They're going to have all those thoughts, but at least they had each other and they could lean on each other for support. And Lisa really came through there in the end as kind of being the one to almost, like, the way they filmed it, the way the two parents were standing and then Lisa was there for a minute, she almost seemed to take the role of the adult and kind of, okay, we gonna watch the movie now and have the popcorn, and almost kind of pull them back from what they were in. So I thought those scenes were really powerful. I really enjoyed it. A great episode. I'm sure we'll talk more, but I've gone way too long already, so I gotta kick it over to the other guys here.
Yeah, with this episode, we saw the grieving of parents that, you know, they lost their son, not to like any like death or anything like that, but to him being gone for an extended period of time. And it started off right away with, you know, it's his 50th birthday. The you know, husband and wife are having fun in the kitchen, you know, talking about breakfast. Then we get the first little gut punch with him seeing the birthday card. And you're like, and then you get that reminder, and then he's like, all right, well then it started getting better. And then they go outside, they see the word is written on his van. And then when they got in the van and drove to the hardware store, we got the slight little bit of levity that we get at all throughout this whole episode, like whether it was, you know, talking badly about the nosy neighbor that, you know, Diamond Dave pointed out we all have, and just ripping on her, but then also telling the story about when he was 13 and how they met and how they fell for each other, and then like their first kiss, you know, to making Lisa like squirm, because obviously like, Mom, Dad, I don't need to know about this stuff, because we've all been there with our parents, at least, you know, possibly at one point or another, where, you know, they're like, they kiss or they hug in front of you, like, no, I don't need to see that. And, you know, here she's sitting in the middle of them talking about this story from, you know, many moons ago, because it was when they were 13, you know, whether you want to say ironically or not, is the same age as Jamie. But we saw how, yeah, he had the accident on the floor because of the bowling shoes. And like they would always say the same thing to him every day in the hallway, but it was just that. They weren't spitting on him. They weren't tripping him like they were to Jamie. So that's where it's slightly different than what he did.
And if you weren't there, you didn't see it.
And you
go back to the video.
You don't know, but and then so that was nice to have the slight levity though in there, and then it took, then like we saw, it takes one comment and you're snapped right back to it, and you know, you see why he reacts that way, and then he sees the kid, he talked about it to a fault with, you know, with his wife, and the final scene was just powerful between, you know, husband and wife, father and mother, about what did they do to their son, to their daughter, to their family, of, you know, were they not good enough, were they do this? He's like, she's like, well, he has a temper and you have a temper. He's like, yeah, but I didn't do this, or is it that bad? And she's like, no, it was just saying we should have done something about it. And just the way that they were grieving about this at the final end. And then the football story, we heard, you know, the football story from Jamie, that his dad couldn't look at him last episode as he wasn't playing that well. And now we heard from Eddie's side that, you know, the parents are laughing at him, he couldn't even look at him. And so for everything that has gone wrong, he still finds that fault right there at the beginning, that he's like, you know, I was his hero and I couldn't even look at him when he wasn't doing something, you know, right. Football wasn't for him, obviously. So that's when you say, all right, let's try something else, which they did. They tried boxing for 10 minutes, like he said, and then he saw drawing. And so I was waiting to maybe hear him. So I was like, yeah, dive into your drawing. Like maybe he got him something. He's like, hey, whatever, you know, football's not your thing, boxing, whatever. How about, you know, drawing? You seem like you're really good. Let's dive into that. But then, like you said, he had worked hard to get where he was in his company. He owned his company. So when that happens is you spend a lot of time away from your kid. And so it was 6 to 8 that he was gone, 6 in the morning till 8 at night. And Jamie even alluded to it in the last episode too, that he's like, well, he made more money on off hours because you can charge more and stuff like that. So there was a lot of times that, like Mom even alluded to, the light was on at 1 in the morning, but she would say go to bed, but he wouldn't say anything and go in. And then, I almost lost it too when he tucked in the teddy bear. And before he even said it, we kind of knew what that meant symbolically. And that was him, tucking his son into bed for one last time. So just a really, really good episode and a really great series. And wow, this was a heavy one. But I do appreciate the slight levity that we did have for a good 5-6 minutes in there.
Yeah, this episode was a very strong finish to this series. As with previous episodes, very powerful storytelling. The acting was pretty incredible. The thing that was the most powerful for me is when the parents both said we thought he was safe in his room. And in today's day and age, that's where the real dangers can lie. So in the last episode, we saw Jamie had some massive explosions. He got angry, smashed his hot chocolate cup across, threw his chair, was slamming the windows. And, when they started showing scenes with this family at home, I was like, okay. And he did say, hey, my dad tore down the shed once. And I was wondering if we were going to see the dad display a lot of the same behaviors that we saw Jamie display. And while he did, get frustrated a few times, there was a drastically different level of behavior as far as an anger response that we saw from the dad than what we saw for Jamie. Now, of course, the dad at the home improvement store, you can't be, putting your hands on teenage kids and he, out of frustration, splashed the paint at his van. And so we had some moments of anger and frustration, to which he was quick to apologize. So that's some mirroring that we saw with Jamie's behavior. But as far as the level of the outbursts, not anywhere near in the same, at the same level. He was, all in all, I think they were trying to paint a picture here of a normal family is what they were doing. Look, they had their, mom and dad, showed affection to each other. There was, some arguing and, look, dad got angry, but didn't, freak out, smash thing, put hands on mom, didn't, verbally abuse her in that regard. So I think what they were trying to paint is a picture of a normal family, and that leads to the questions later of how does this happen? How does parents who, try to, create a nice household for their child, how does, that happen? In the scene that, where mom and dad are sitting on the bed, I'm sure that's the same discussion a lot of parents have, when their kids get in trouble, even at a level much lower than what we saw with Jamie. Like, how did this happen? How did we try enough? Did we do more? And, I was pretty hot after the second episode with the kids' behavior in school, saying parents need to do a better job. But at the end of the day, without trying to come at the parents who are obviously in a very vulnerable situation, you have to do a better job. And, Mason Quinn, you talked about, and we've talked about in previous episodes, that challenges that are facing parents today, they're pretty new. And I said, last episode, this is really first gen parenting for raising teenagers who have the level of social media involvement that these kids do. And you're right. I've talked about it before on other shows. Like, look, if you were bullied in the 80s and, somebody tripped you in the hallway and you fell, there might have been 3 people there to see it and it's done. Or if somebody came and, dumped a milk on your head in the lunchroom, a handful of kids saw it. The moment comes and goes. It's done. You go home, you get cleaned up, whatever. And now everybody's got phones. They've got cameras. You got to relive it. They're sharing it. There's people seeing it all over. So we're living in a very different time. And it was interesting also seeing him tell the story of his dad. And I think for people about our age and older, it's an interesting thing. It is not unusual, even throughout the 80s, if you were a child, to get spanked or to get a belt. And I don't think people really even looked at that as abuse at the time. I mean, I got whapped with a wooden spoon. That was my mom's thing. My dad spanked us when we were kids. I don't recall, honestly, if I ever got a leather belt, but I got spanked. My mom had a wooden spoon. I mean, they make T-shirts now that say "Wooden Spoon Survivor" as a play on, an 80s form of punishment. And I think, they did a great job of having the dad saying, well, we look back on that, and I'm certainly not going to judge my parents for anything. I would never hit my kid with a wooden spoon. And I'm, by no means am I trying to chastise my mother at all, or my father for spanking. I just wouldn't do it. I can't picture myself doing that. I can't picture my fiance whapping our kid with a wooden spoon. And I think, he said, I wanted to do better, right? Like, I wanted to be better. And I think sometimes with parents, like, you look at the things that are maybe your parents did that were mistakes, that you're not going to do the same thing. And I think an effort is being made to I don't want to say break generational trauma, but to change, the pattern of behavior. But that's not enough anymore. It's not enough to say, I'm not going to make the same mistakes my parents made, because as a parent, you're not facing the same challenges that your parents faced. Of course, look, going out and staying out too late and coming home after curfew and getting in trouble, I mean, those are things that are cross-generational. But as far as, things like, what is your kid consuming online? What are they watching on their phone? Who's, putting messages in your kid's head? Who are they watching until 1 a.m.? This is relatively newish for parents, and we're less than 2 decades in. There isn't there isn't an instruction manual on all this stuff. And, for me, the red flags, for lack of a better term, that stood out is when they were saying, hey, our kid was up at 1 o'clock in the morning, like that, not to be, armchair parenting here, but your 13-year-old, 12-year-old son shouldn't be up at 1 in the morning on their computer. And I don't think that's comes across as judgy. I think would be a pretty universal belief. And they were like, well, that's normal for kids, and that's normal for, and like, the second you take that attitude as a parent, well, it's normal, other parents are doing it. It's so interesting. I just had a discussion recently with my fiance and some behavior of other parents and stuff like that. And, another parent, and granted, it was very lower level behavior, not anything anywhere close to this. It was like, well, other parents are doing it and stuff like that. And it's like, well, isn't this what our parents said to us when we were kids? Well, if other kids went and jumped off the bridge, would you? And so I think as parents, when we look at, other parents are doing it, this is what all these kids are doing. No, you have to be more proactive, and they knew the kid was up in the room with the door closed on a computer, and you have to be. Again, I know there's a fine line between, trusting your kid to make the right decisions and kind of snooping and crossing borders. But look, if your kid's up at 1 a.m. on their computer, you got to know what they're doing. You got to know what they're doing. You have to know what sort of content they're consuming. You have to know who's teaching them. I mean, I hate to use the term raising, but who's raising our kids? Who's raising them? What are they watching? What are they consuming? He brought up a point. I was just looking for a video for a gym, and I got this content. And like, look at 12, 13 years old, it's like, yeah, you can tell the kids, like, hey, this isn't the way the world is, and this isn't how we should act, and this isn't how we should behave. But if they're seeing it over and over and over, and you don't know what they're watching or what sort of content they're consuming, look, as parents, and look, I hate to sound like the old guy, but you got to know what your kids are doing online. You have to. And again, for somebody his age, they said, okay, he turned 50. So if this show came out, this last year, basically, this dad was, born in the early to mid 70s, and and basically grew up as a teenager in the 80s, and there was so many different problems. And I think this episode did a good job of painting that, like, this isn't an unusual family. Dad gets a little angry at some stuff. He's again, did he handle everything 100% the right way? No, but we don't see anything verbally abusive towards the mom. We don't see him talking down to her. We don't see him smashing stuff. We don't see him, throwing stuff, obviously, other than the scene there. And I think that's the picture they're trying to paint. Like, you can say that you're doing a good job, you can be good parents, you can be a normal family, but times have changed, and we have to be out there watching. And you have to be the one raising your sons. And look, and I know parents of young, well, that's
all kids.
That's
yeah.
well, that's what I was just going to say. This show obviously is very.
Just wanted to catch you there.
Well, I was. That's what I was just following up with. This show is very obviously geared towards the development of younger men. But I talked about it in the last episode. Like, parents of younger women, they're facing more pressures now than they ever have as well. With all sorts of stuff, being, having to look whatever for social media and this and that and that and this. And at the end of the day, they painted a very good picture of a family that was grieving. It's interesting to have the conversations about this family, because on the flip side of it, you have another family whose child is gone. Right?
And we've seen
But
nothing
we don't
from
see
them.
any.
And you don't,
from
but
that
you never
perspective.
see any of that. So it's like you almost, when you're talking about this family and how much they're grieving and all the things that they're going through, like, in the back of your head, you're like, yes, but another family has lost their child, but that's not what's being presented, and that's not what this story is about. So please don't think by us just talking about this, we're not incredibly empathetic for Katie's family, but that's not what's being presented. And it's almost like, it's almost, I don't want to say that they've lost their child. I don't know what the justice system looks like in the UK. I have no idea how they would handle a 13-year-old. I'm guessing at 13, I would have to guess max 20 to 25 years. I don't know. But even if he serves 20 years, he's getting out when he's 33, even 25, he's 38. That's still youngish in the big picture. Of course, he misses a huge portion of his life, but they haven't lost their kid. It's very, very difficult. But in any regard, I've gone way long on this. I think we've gone long on every episode of this show just because of the nature of the subject matter, and I think it would be a disservice to do a quick wrap up. But on the flip side of that, we could talk forever. So I want to say the same thing that I said in previous episodes. It may sound, I don't want to say insensitive to the subject matter, but on the production side of things, they did an incredible job with the production, with the one shot. The acting was really next level from everybody involved, and I just want to shout out everybody who worked on this, because for as compelling as the story is, the way it was delivered to us deserves a level of praise that sometimes can be awkward given how heavy the show was, but they crushed it with the production of this.
Yeah, everyone, I'll start there. Everyone involved with all 4 episodes knocked it out of the park. Very intuitive with how they wanted to deliver these 4 episodes to the audience, especially the camera, to me, is almost the main character, if that makes sense, because the way they're taking us on the ride is very unique on how they decided to deliver the story. If there was cuts or transitions, it was incredibly seamless to make sure we're on this perspective. Now we're going to go right over here, and we're going to go right over here, back to here. And just the way they were doing everything in there was genius, I thought. So shout out to all of you involved. You all crushed it. Great job there. Thank you, Netflix, for giving these guys a shot to be able to do this. This story, this episode here that they delivered, another impactful episode. Each episode, I was kind of wondering what kind of timeline we were going to get going into these. And this one, we got our 13-month jump. I know I earlier said, well, are we going from 13 months from the 7 months or day 1 of incident 13 months in? So I was just kind of curious on that, but obviously it makes way more sense that it's 13 months from day 1 incident. I don't even know where to start within this one. I'm sure I'm going to forget some stuff. You guys obviously talked about a lot of it. I'm glad we got to see the conversation between the mother and dad. I thought it was very important to see how the 2 parents were handling things, considering we haven't got too much outside of episode 1, where it was the initial craziness of, hey, we're breaking in, we're kicking down the door, we're taking Jamie, and now we're going to give you information as we kind of go here. to this episode now of how where I would consider this episode is more we're finally getting a grieving episode. They did a pretty good job of showing us a day and night difference in the car ride where they definitely had a good moment. They were definitely trying to move forward from what just happened, and they did what I felt like they did accomplish it by the end. By the time they stopped the car, they were all the mom was singing. He was showing confidence. I mean, they made it in here. 13-year-old dad, had a lot of confidence, being more confidence than Jamie, I should say, at 13 because of the story that the mom told, which they did that to kind of show a little bit of contrast between the dad and Jamie there. So I'm glad they kind of, gave us a little more insight because, in the last episode, the psychotherapist was trying to ask about the dad, right? Jamie was kind of getting super defensive on all that. They did tell us a little bit, or Jamie mentioned, I saw him push over what was it? Shed, right? And he said it was like a one-time thing. But we are, and the mom here mentioned the tempers. So I'm curious if since the mom did mention temper throughout the life, I don't know like where we are on the scale for that, but obviously it was enough for her to mention like, hey, you both have a temper. But here, what they're showing us here, I'm taking it as, all right, stress levels are not at a normal because of obviously everything that's happened. Yeah. So as much as this family tries to push forward here, whatever that normal limit is for somebody, I'm sure they're starting just a little bit above that on their days now. And things like this where I'm just going to assume it was one time, unless I missed some dialogue in here alluding to it's happened multiple times in 13 months. The one time with the paint on the van. So again, unless something else happened that I missed, let me know. But, obviously that was a tone setter now.
Yeah, well, Lisa said she deals with it all the time because she's Jamie's sister.
Jamie's sister. Yep. So there's a thing that I'm hoping the parents in this story are checking in on now, right? Because I feel like that's a conversation just to check in to see how you're doing. Because if they said in here, what could we, which is another powerful line, what could we have done different? Well, now I'm hoping they're taking this opportunity in this story, obviously off screen now, that they're checking in on the daughter after that comment, just to have a conversation like these two did right here to get their feelings out a little bit more. I think a check-in with their daughter, especially now that she said that, is very important moving forward. Again, the dialogue and the conversation between the mom and dad here were very important. A lot of things, that was being said. Actually, I'm going to back up now to the van, to the call of Jamie. Now that I'm seeing my note here, I thought it was interesting at first where Jamie wasn't asking he was asking his dad, "How was your day? How was your birthday?" Right? I guess I was expecting, and maybe that's on me for expecting it, but I was kind of expecting Jamie just to do a quick, how's mom, how's sister? That didn't happen. But when the mom chimed in on the call, he's like, oh, you're there. Obviously, he had no clue because he thought he was just talking to dad. So I'm kind of curious because there was more that was being said. Jamie said something about our normal time at the end of the week. Mm-hmm. So that tells me that at least the family at a minimum is going to have a conversation or check in with them or however that's done. I am curious though, because, Jamie started off asking for his dad, how is the relationship with his sister and mom? We never really got that perspective of it. Mm-hmm. So I am kind of curious, how they would really interact. I know we didn't get much with Jamie and Dad either because of the seriousness of the episode 1.
Yeah, we only had 4 episodes.
So I guess it's kind of left up to have your mind go multiple ways on that, and you probably wouldn't be wrong for the most part, I would assume.
I think you can interpret that a lot of ways. Look, obviously he was a young man that was angry at women because of his perceptions, whether he blanketed that across all women. He certainly wasn't very respectful to the therapist at all.
None.
So you wonder if his respect level for the mom and the sister was lower as well.
Yeah, because all we got was a few answers to some
Yeah,
questions.
you know,
And I think you've got to take everything from that because they can't give you anything else.
You can run with a lot of stuff that you've seen here and hypothesize a lot. Like, okay, he picked his dad, not his mom in the first one. Why did he pick his dad? Well, I don't know. Maybe he was scared. Look, the police just broke down the doors at his house. He might have been scared and thought his dad was going to protect him more, or maybe he felt like his dad was going to get more respect. I mean, so there's a lot of there's a lot of hypothesizing and a lot of ways you can interpret a lot of different things throughout this show.
You know, back to the therapist thing. Did he have outbursts at his sister or mom too, like that? I'm kind of curious now.
Sounds
well,
like
the interesting thing is the mom's. You know, the interesting thing is the mom said that Jamie had a temper as well. So the mom brought that up, like had a temper as well. Again, and look, I guess everything is relative to everybody's experience, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, from my experience and, you know, friends and, you know, being around other friends' dads and stuff like that, like what Jamie's dad did here was like, aside from splashing the paint and, you know, I don't want to make excuses for behaviors like that, but the stuff at home, like getting mad, where's the sponge, you know, arguments, it was pretty, you know, moderate, you know, and
again, given the pressure cooker that this situation is in, I think you got to take that into consideration.
You have to take that into consideration. This isn't this isn't, and look, the other thing is they make a point of saying this is his birthday. Yeah. This isn't just a normal Saturday. He's mad because he's trying to scrub paint off something, and you know, even something as simple as spilling filling up a bucket of water in the sink, and I think they're showing like little things here too, like little things that would set you off. Like how many times, like it's weird to talk about, like how many times you at your sink with a cup or a spoon and it sprays, what the hell, you know, it sprays everywhere. Yeah. You know, and you pressure cooker it's a really good term for this. I mean, it's his birthday. They're trying to enjoy it. And that's the thing with a family like this. And again, Katie's family as well. I never want to just leave that out. But again, we can only talk about what was presented in front of us. But with a family like this, these are the hard days. Birthdays, Christmas, Jamie's birthday, holidays, things like that. Those are going to be harder days. Those aren't the days that you get to enjoy more because it's your birthday. It's the complete opposite. The random Saturday that didn't mean anything to your family, that might be the day that you get to enjoy. Your birthday, when you're knowing where your son is at and where he's going to be for God knows how many of your next birthdays, those are the hard days. I mean, I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know as a parent how you enjoy anything. And I know that sounds morbid, but like it's hard to probably move on. Day-to-day, like, you know, and your day-to-day stuff, like, and I've discussed this, like, you know, with friends. It's like, you see other parents who have lost their kids. It's like, I got to be on, and this might sound dramatic to some. And, you know, they said, hey, we just got to push through. We got to survive is the term that they use, because that's what it has to feel like. I can't imagine losing a child and just like, what the fuck am I even getting out of bed for today? Like, just hypothesizing in my head. I got to be honest, if I lost my son, I don't know how the fuck I'd get out of bed in the morning. I honestly don't, much less go to work and whatever. And when you have another kid, you have that responsibility, but the mom nailed it. We just have to try to survive. And I think like that's what they're doing, is they're just trying to fucking survive. You know?
And that's kind of one of the notes I had here too, is, in a way, because this show does a great job of making you see, try to look at things a little bit differently, or different routes, different perspectives, different scenarios that you can look at here. So in a way, he did lose a kid, right? Of
course, absolutely.
Absolutely lost a kid. And the memories that they have, which I have here, right here, memories end for Jamie at probably 13, because the mom and dad were talking about a memory of Jamie, and like that's all they have now. They won't have anything of what you would consider a normal. Maybe he's going to go to college, and this is the other thing they're probably going to think about. What if, outside of what could we have done different? Now they're going to do the what ifs. What if Jamie was successful in college? What if Jamie, did this after college and got this kind of job and had this kind of family,
took
and we
over the
could have been
business.
this
We
kind of
don't know.
grandparents for him. No, that's the stuff that's going to go through their heads.
I think every what if we would have
A lot of what ifs.
He was on his computer until 1 o'clock every night. What if we had stepped in and said, what are we watching?
That bugged me.
Look, something for me, and again, a privacy issue, but you should, a 13-year-old boy who's on his computer at 1 o'clock, you should know the browser history. I don't think that's invasion of privacy for a 13-year-old at all. Guess what? When you're 13, there's limits to how much privacy you have, and especially considering what's all out on the internet today. And it's like, again, it's the question, who's raising your child? Yep, you're the one putting the roof over their head. You're the one putting groceries on the table, but who's the one instilling the lessons in them they need to know as they get older, as they grow? And we saw in this episode, it wasn't always just Jamie's dad, and that's something that parents face today. And look, kids are going to do kid stuff as far as bad behavior, but there's a difference between I'm picking up on bad behavior from other kids at school or other kids' bad behavior and out there consuming content online or on social media that is, essentially letting another person raise your kid. And I know we didn't dive too deep into it, but that's what they were suggesting here with some of the stuff that he was on. And parents have to know that. And again, parents face so many challenges. The one flaw that I try not to be judgy here, but with the dad, it was like, it was a really powerful scene last episode when Jamie was talking about, I saw my dad look at me when I was playing football and look away. And then, we got the other side of it too. All the other dads were laughing at him. It's, again, I'm not trying to come off as preachy, but it's your job as a father to try everything you can to instill confidence in your son. And he was confident. They made that thing. Oh, he was out on the dance floor. He had a wig. He had his bowling shoes for the whole outfit. He was dancing. He fell. He was confident. And it was, and he said, hey, my dad did this, and I was still confident. Well, what was the difference? Well, Jamie wasn't good at sports. He wasn't good at football. He wasn't good at he wasn't good at boxing. Look, not all kids are going to be good at sports, but you have to find things to instill confidence in your kid. Boys and girls, you have to do those things. And look, as a dad, I have a 4.5-year-old. I was into martial arts and wrestling and football, and I'd be lying to you if I said, you know what, it wouldn't be cool for me as a dad for my kid to like the same things that I liked. But you know what, if he doesn't, I don't care. Be the best at drawing. Be the best at, one of my best friends growing up, not the best athlete, but he taught himself to play guitar. His parents, as soon as he got into guitar and piano, his parents just they nourished that, and he became just a phenomenal musician. And as a parent, if your kids are struggling with confidence issues, you don't say, well, you're not good at sports, not good at soccer or boxing, so I guess we're done here. You find things to instill confidence in them.
Well, that's what I was
important.
hoping he was going to say with drawing, because he said he was really good at drawing, but then they stopped at that, and he's like, well, then we bought him a computer.
And then, that. Well, it's a very,
so
you brought up a very good point there.
But
there's something that he was good at, and the computer became more important instead of just keep going with his drawing. And it's like, and clearly the computer, and I hate to sound like the old guy again, but the computer wasn't helping with his confidence. The computer, he was consuming content that made him feel a certain way, the 80-20 stuff, which is, it's like, look, it's trash. You don't need a 13-year-old kid hearing that stuff. It's going to make him angry. And to be honest, it's bullshit. It's not true. So if you're a 13-year-old boy watching out there, it's not true. Don't buy into that shit, the 80-20 stuff. Look, that
was a bunch of nonsense. It was made up by, because I looked into it because I was interested.
It's
From
bullshit.
What I found, it was like some OkCupid dating site
just
stuff.
for 2 seconds. For 2 seconds, if you're watching this and saying, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about," it is true. Guess what? There's a thing called universal attractiveness. 99% of women in at least Western culture are going to think, I don't know, Channing Tatum or David Beckham are handsome. 99% of men in Western culture are going to think, Jennifer Aniston or J-Lo or Rihanna are attractive. Okay, so you're 80-20, like this percentage of people find this percentage of people attractive. There's a thing called universal attractive, and it varies from culture to culture. There's cultural things that certain people find beautiful or whatever. But look, again, and we joke about it on here on the channel. Like I even joke about, oh, Chris Hemsworth, oh, that's an attractive man, right? Like it's not 80-20. There's universal attractiveness. But as far as like 80% of
keep
women,
in mind with a 13-year-old, they don't.
They're
think
so
that way.
impressionable, right?
So we got to keep that in mind.
I know I do. But this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Like if you have like, look, if somebody's telling you like 80% of girls are only going to like this 20%. Look, and this is so cliche, but look, there's somebody out there for everybody. Don't let some asshole fucking moron online tell you that 80-20 stuff. It's total bullshit. You know, I'm not saying. Look, I'm not going to go in some rant about whatever. We don't need to dive into it. But look, you can.
We'll let Diamond Dave finish.
You
before
can
we get into
well, no, but look, I'm not going to
it.
rant. But look, we go along here. But basically, what I'm saying is, don't buy into all this stuff. You know what? You can be, and I said it the last episode, I'll say it quickly again. You can be a strong young man. You can treat people with respect. You can be an upstanding person. That's what's important. All the bullshit online about this and that and that and this, the 80-20 stuff, just forget about it.
It's going to be something new next year or in 10 years.
And part of this, too, with the conversation between the mom and the sister, I thought was interesting, too, because she asked about the boyfriend. And what I said either last episode or the episode before, the kid shut it down. It was almost, 3 words, and then it was basically a closed wall from there. And I'm not saying the mom needed to push more into it, but I'm kind of curious to see your thoughts, especially if you made it 41 minutes into this review, that if maybe mom or dad maybe should have leaned in a little bit more to get just a little bit, not a whole life story or everything, but considering the situation they just went through, to me right there, it felt like maybe just do another little soft push of trying to get something. And then if they still kind of give you a closed off answer, then circle the wagons back later kind of situation. Maybe I'm wrong in that thought process, but I'm curious to see what you all thought about that. Because considering the situation we are in with Jamie, I would want to know, hey, I need to know a little something here. Yeah. It doesn't have to be everything right now, but just give me something.
Well, I think what they were showing there is the challenges that parents face. Like, look,
yes,
exactly. Look, if I would have had my dad ask me at 17, look, and my dad and I had a very close relationship, but it was never we never had the birds and the bees talk. I had older brothers. I think he just assumed that's where that was going to come from. How are things with your girlfriend? Great. Yeah, and that was it. So when you're her age, 17, and your parents ask you, how are things with your boyfriend? Okay, they're great. Look, as long as there's not glaring signs that there's, some bad things happening, abuse or whatever, a 17-year-old girl maybe isn't always going to want to talk to her mom about things.
And that's
I think that's vastly different than, hey, our kid was up at 1 a.m. on God knows what website.
Yeah, by the way, I'm not comparing the two.
Oh, no,
but I'm
I
just saying,
know.
Considering events for this family, I would want a little, because it made it, to me, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, it made it sound like the mom had no idea.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what we need.
As in, doesn't know much about him. Yeah. She knew about the guy, but doesn't know about him.
Yeah, well, and the tricky thing we have to consider is the nature of how they do this show with a one shot, with it's all done in real time. We're not going to get a lot of that information. We're just not going to get that.
We get
you have
the one
to take,
track, and then we have to kind of
all you have to work on is
our reaction on what we're given.
Yeah, all you have to work on is the little bit of information Jamie might give to the therapist, the little bit of interaction they might have on episode 1, and what they might give here with the mom and dad. That's all you have to work with, given how the show is made. So you're forced to speculate. There are no answers.
That's a great way to put it. You're forced to speculate. We're getting, and I don't think we've ever watched anything that has been one take, 4 episodes, one take, because you're getting real time. They give us a time jump, which is important.
You can't jump,
but it's not like, hey, 5 minutes in this room, 10 minutes in this room. Hey, this happened tomorrow. Yep. It's not. We don't get to see what happened the next morning. We don't even get to see what happened, whether they went to go to the movie or how that went. So that's a good point. There's going to be a ton of speculation about so many other things with this particular show, and all you can do is take it for face value, which, as we've said multiple times now, that this was incredibly unique but incredibly powerful the way they did it, albeit you're limited in the type of story you can tell from giving people details.
So with that being said, I'm going to circle now back again to the mom and dad's conversation when the dad says, paraphrasing, says we can't keep eyes on him all the time. It's hard to do. And you know what? That's incredibly relatable, right? You send off your son or daughter to school. And if you're not getting anything feedback from the school, and again, like I was mentioning, whenever I said it in the review of 2 or 3, in a prime example of the daughter, if they're just giving you 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, and then that's it, and the conversation's done, and you as a parent you don't want to push.
Yeah, because you keep pushing, then it turns into a fight.
Yeah, you don't know what's really going on outside the walls, and which is kind of interesting because inside the walls, with the door shut, like they brought up here, you just don't know. So I thought that line was relatable for pretty much universally everybody at some point. This whole show, and then of course the heartbreak of seeing the mom just break down when they came in, and then the heartbreak of seeing dad tuck the bear in, which to me was like one last time.
Yeah,
I'm tucking in the son that I knew, and kissed the teddy bear on the forehead and said I'm sorry. Like and the guilt. I know they're seeing a therapist, which they mentioned in here, and the therapist told them not to place guilt on themselves, but I'm sure it is going to be incredibly hard not to in this situation, which they were still kind of doing during their conversation here. So we probably missed some stuff. But again, phenomenal 4 episodes. What a wild ride this was. And I want to say kudos to everyone involved for making this show a very good conversation starter. In whatever your opinion is, cool. Just hopefully you're having conversation with friends, family, whomever. Hopefully it's you're just generating that conversation and going from there. So I feel like this is that show. This show is a great conversation starter, and they nailed that for at least a minimum of things if you were looking at it that way. So bravo again to all involved.
There you go.
I'm not. And if for a quick rate, it's 5. I mean,
Yeah,
5.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, done on all facets of it. This is fiction, but pulled from sources of life there a little bit. So that's why I'll rate this one, because it wasn't a true event circumstance in this. So easy 5 for me on how everything was shot.
There you go. There was Adolescence. Quick score of 5?
Yeah, hands down, no doubt a 5. And thank you for bringing that up, Dave. That I think it's very important that we talk about this as being a conversation starter, because there's a lot of very important topics, very heavy topics, and it's never going to be easy to talk to your teenagers. That's never going to be easy. And I think they did a phenomenal job with this. So yeah, a 5 all day.
All right, there you go. That was Adolescence Look. Hopefully you guys are having the conversations you guys need to have as well. So for Appleton Oak.
There it is. All the way across the board.
Yeah, there it is.
Boom.
It's Appleton Oak, Diamond Dave. That's Mason Quinn. I'm, of course, the answer. Catch you on the next one, pals. Good night.